Hello, everyone. Today we're going to be going over Google Classroom. In this first section, we're going to be going over how to access Google Classroom and how to create a new class. So first things first, we just come to google.com. And in the top right corner, you're going to select sign in if you are not already signed in. Your email address and your password. Now we know we're signed in. We can see our initial in the top right corner here. To make sure you're using your school account, you can hover over this icon in the top right, or simply click on it, and it will tell you what account is signed in. To access Google Classroom, we're going to select this icon in the top right corner. This gives you access to all the Google applications you have access to with your account. And from this list of applications, we're going to select Classroom. So this is your Classroom landing page. This is where you would see all the classrooms that you have either created or have joined would be on this page. Since this account does not own any classes and is not part of any classes, we don't see you on here yet. But let's go ahead and create a class. So to create a class, we're going to come to the top right-hand corner here and select this plus sign. And we're going to select Create Class from the option dropdown. So the only portion here that's required is the class name. You can fill out the other information if you'd like. So this is a demo class for our purpose. And we'll simply just hit create, and it'll take a second to create that class. Once the class is created, it's going to take you to the class page. However, if we select this menu in the top left, the main menu, and select classes from that page, you can see on the main Google Classroom landing page, we now see this class available. If we go ahead and click on that class, we can dive into some of the other settings, including adding students to the class, adding more teachers to the class, classwork, etc. Let's get into that in the next portion of this video. Okay, so now we have our class created, and we are going to add some students to the class. We are going to add another teacher if we'd like, and check out some of the other features of Google Classroom and some of the initial setup. So just a couple quick bits of information. This class code you see here under the title of the class is going to be vital. So we can provide this class code to the student who needs to join our class, and during their process of joining the class, they enter this class code, and at that point, we'll be able to join your class. So this class code is the key, if you will, the key for the lock to enter your class. So this is a very important piece of information, and Google does a great job by putting it front and center for us to see. So just here in the stream, so the stream is essentially your class page. So from here, you can post anything you'd like to share with the class. Students can actually respond to these posts. You can post a link to a YouTube video or post a link to a document that you wanted to share from your Drive or a Google Doc or a Google Slides presentation, whatever you'd like to post. You can also, as you can see here, you can create and schedule announcements, and you can also respond to any student postings that occur here as well. This is called the class stream. So if we just come up to the top of the page, you can see we're in the stream for the class. So we're going to move over to first, let's go to people. It's important to have the people in the class. So you can see here, I'm listed as the teacher for this course. You can actually add co-teachers to your classes. And to do so, you would just select this invite members, invite teachers option in the top right here. You just click on that, and you would begin typing in the individual's email address, and then simply click invite to send the invite to them. To add students to the class, so most importantly here, for shared type programs, you'll have a list accessible to you, a mailing list to reach out to your students at once rather than typing in each email address separately here. So for example, just to provide an example of a mailing list, we have a group called SciPac staff. So if I select this and invite them to the course, this is going to send an invite to anyone that's a part of that group. But to add a student to the class, this is just going to send an invitation to them. It's not going to manually add them. So for example, I have a demo student account here. if I select to invite that student to the course and I hit invite, the student actually isn't part of my class yet until they accept that invitation, and that invitation would be in there. So the other way to invite students to your class would be through the class code. So you can actually send an email or provide this class code in any which way uh, to the students in your class, and they can manually join your class with that class code, and they can check out the student classroom training video to see how to do that. So once all your students are loaded in, you'll see them all on this list here. Unfortunately, we don't have a list of students to show you here. This is just for demonstration. And you can add and remove students as you need through that section there. So the next tab up here is to create classwork. So for example, let's create an assignment, and we're going to name it demo assignment. About the instructions for this assignment. Even add attachment from our Google Drive, a link to a video or another file, a file from our computer. You can change which students are going to receive the assignment, how many points it's worth, or if it's an ungraded assignment. Here you can set the due date. Even add a rubric if you have one. Once that's completed, you can select assign if you'd like the assignment to go out immediately, or you can schedule the assignment to be released at a later date, or you can even save a draft of the assignment and come back and finish working on that at a later time. So let's just go ahead and assign. Great, so now we have our assignment posted. So in the last portion of this video, we're working on adding an assignment to our class. So let's go ahead and go over that again. So we're just going to let's create a different assignment this time. So let's we're going to create a quiz assignment. So the quiz assignment setup is a little different. It's going to give you a blank Google form here. Let's go ahead first and set up the assignment. Our instructions, please. And you're going to see this blank quiz Google Forms created. And if we click on that form, we can actually fill out a form. So this is question 1. How to add students to Google Classroom. Let's just create this question. Add options for our multiple choice question. So for option 1, we're going to use class code, for example, mail invitation. Here you can actually make multiple choice questions. Make select all that apply type of questions using the checkbox option. And you would just keep selecting here in Google Forms to add more questions. We can go into a deeper training video on Google Forms, but this is just how you would use a form for the purpose of quiz in your classroom. Once you're done creating your form, you can rename it when you're in Google Forms, so it's not just named blank quiz. You would set all the same settings that we went over before, the due date or the scheduled time. So if we want to schedule the assignment to be released on Friday at 9 a.m., now our quiz is scheduled for Friday at 9 a.m. And if we set the due date on that quiz, the students would have, let's say, between 9 and 10 a.m. to complete the quiz. And like I said, we can go over a deeper understanding of Google Forms in our Google Forms training video. And you can see once the student was to click on the form, they can fill out the So there are multiple different types of assignments. We just went over assignment and quiz assignment. Material. It's just somewhere you can post material. So if you have a reading that you'd like to share with the students, an article that was released, something to that effect, this is where you could post material for the students to view. And a question is just that. It poses a question to your students, and they can fill in a short answer response or a multiple choice response. This, I guess, is it could be used for polling as well, that sort of thing. But generally speaking, this is a short answer type of response that you can assign to the students for an essay type of question or something to that effect. So those are all your different assignment types in Google Classroom. And here you would see all the grades. So if we did assign an assignment to a student and the student completed the assignment, you would see each student's name and the breakdown of their previous assignment and grades, and that would all show up here under grades, which makes it very easy to keep track of their progress, see who has turned in what assignments, see who has not turned in certain assignments, and all of that. So Google Classroom, once you get the hang of it, they make it pretty easy to use. Like I said, there are some settings for the assignments that we should go over in more detail. And like I said, you can check out our Google Forms training video for that. But just for creating a general assignment, those students are going to be able to submit attachments to you. So if you ask them to submit their answers as a written list or a numbered list or something to that effect, they'll be able to upload all that and send that to you. So yeah, that's all about it for our Google Classroom. We added our students. We created different kinds of assignments, and that's that. I'm going to also share with you some Google support documentation, and that'll help you immensely as well. Any questions, please feel free to reach out. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Today we're going to do a brief overview of Google Calendar. So first things first, we want to sign into our Google account. So we'll just come to google.com and select the sign in button in the top right hand corner. We're signed in. To access Google Calendar, we have a couple of options. We can go to calendar.google.com, or we can simply select in the top right hand corner this apps icon and choose calendar from the list that appears. So first things first, when we get into Google Calendar, I want to go over this view and how we can change this view. From this top right hand corner, you can see we have a drop down menu here. From this menu, we can select day, week, month, year, or schedule, or 4 days. If we switch to the day view, you can see that we're just viewing today. The week view, same, we can see Sunday through Saturday of this week. And the month view obviously shows us the entire month. So that's how you're going to go ahead and change your views within Google Calendar. I think most effective is the weekly view. So you can see here, I have a few events scheduled, but this red bar on your Google Calendar on the current day is the current time. So right now it's 10 of 9 on Wednesday the 5th, and that's what that red bar denotes. So the next thing I want to go over is how to schedule an event. So let's say we wanted to schedule an event for Friday afternoon at 1 p.m. We have two options. First, we can just simply click on the calendar here at 1 p.m. on Friday, and you can see we have this new box that pops up to schedule the event. Our other option is to select Friday. Lost the calendar. Okay, so we can select Friday, and then we can select Create in the top left-hand corner, and you can see now we can create the event that way. I think the easiest way to create the event, in my opinion, go to this, click on the day that you want to schedule the event, and click on the selected time. So we're going to schedule this event for Friday at 1 p.m. So we'll just click at 1 p.m. on Friday. We're going to name our event first. Also see here you can schedule out of office time so that other individuals who are looking at your calendar when they're scheduling an event, if they add you as a guest, can see you're out of office and potentially reschedule. You can also set reminders, or you can provide appointment slots. And I think that might come in handy if you want to offer, for instance, office hours to your students, or time that they can reach out to you for a meeting, if that's the case. So we're going to go ahead and name this event. We're going to just double check our time. And our date, Friday, August 7th, 1 to 2 p.m. 7th, 1 to 2 p.m. looks fine. You can change the time here as well. You can also change how often the event repeats. So if it's a one-time event, we're going to leave this selected as does not repeat. Otherwise, we can make a daily event. We can make it every Friday. We can make it only on the first Friday of every month, annually, et cetera, et cetera. You can even set a custom range for how often that event repeats. This next portion is to add guests, but I just want to go over this Google Meet video conferencing first. So if this is going to be a virtual meeting with a student or with the class, and you need to create a Google Meet session, we're just going to go ahead and click this Add Google Meet Video Conferencing, and you can see here that now we have a URL for Google Meet created, and we also have a meeting ID and call-in number associated with this event. Then we're going to just go ahead and add guests. I have a demo student here, and you can see now that I've added the guest. We can also add a location or a description. And once all the settings are set, we're just going to go ahead and click Save. We're going to have the option to send invitation emails to those guests we added, which we will send. And just like that, our event is created. All right, so in the last portion of our Google Calendar video, we created an event here for Friday the 7th. Now, I want to go over how to make changes to an existing event. So if you are, in fact, the owner of the event, you are going to simply click on this event we scheduled and click this pencil icon. And now you can see we can change the settings for the event. So let's say we wanted to go back and add a location. We wanted to change our notification time. If we wanted to add a new description or update the description of the event. The other thing we can do here is change the time, change the date, change all the settings we initially set. We can also add more guests. So for example, I wanted to add another student to this meeting. I can simply add that guest. The other thing you're going to see here is under the guest list, once the guest accepts the invitation that they will receive via email for the event, you'll see a green check mark next to their name. If they deny the event, then you're going to see a red X. If they simply don't respond, you'll see that you're still awaiting responses. You won't see any check mark or X next to their name. Then once we're done, we can simply save, and then we can resend invitations to the new guests as well as the existing guests. This isn't particularly important if you change the date or time of the meeting, they'll receive the updated invitation. So we'll just hit send. The last thing I want to go over with making changes to the event, if we just go back and click on the event and edit again, we have this option for more actions up here. The option here I want to go over in detail is the change owner option. So in the event that you're the owner of the event and you'd like to pass ownership to another individual so that they can make changes to the event, reschedule, things like that, we can simply click change owner, and then we can enter a name here. I would like to transfer ownership of this event, and then we would select change owner. That's going to send them an email invitation to accept ownership of the event. Now, they do not become owner of the event until they accept that invitation. All right, so in the last portion of the Google Calendar training video, I just wanted to go over a few more settings with you. Last but certainly not least, we just want to talk about calendar settings. So over here on the left, excuse me, you can see all of the calendars that events from calendars you can currently see on your calendar. So for example here, events that I've created or are part of my personal schedule appear in blue here on my calendar. Any reminders, as you can see here on the left-hand side, correspond in purple on my calendar. And birthdays is a default Google Calendar that's listed there. If you wanted to remove this, you can simply click this X next to the calendar, and you're going to hide that from your calendar. So let's go ahead and check out some settings for my personal calendar. If I click these three little dots next to my name here under my calendars, you can see that I can change the color of my events fairly easily here. So let's say I wanted to go with an orange color for any events on my calendar, or I wanted to go with a green color. I can change that. And similarly for reminders and the other calendars that you'll have that appear here, we can change these to blue, let's say, or to magenta type of color. So let's dive into some more settings with the calendar. So if I click on these three dots next to my calendar name, I can go ahead and click Settings and Sharing. And you can see here I can edit the description and the time zone for the calendar. I can export the calendar. You won't necessarily need to do that for any reason. The other thing that I can do is share my calendar with other people. And you can see here I've shared it with one other user. And to share your calendar with someone, you have some options as to what they can see on your calendar. So once I add the person's name to this list here, I can select the permissions. And for instance, if I share my calendar with this person, but I just want them to see if I'm free or busy, or if I wanted them to see all event details, or if I wanted to allow them to make changes to events or change and manage the sharing of my calendar as well. This is all going to depend on what permissions you want that person to have. And once you select that, you would just hit send. They would receive an invitation, and they can accept that invitation via email. Here we can change event notifications. So we can see if we want to, a notification is just going to appear in your Chrome browser that the meeting is going to start soon. You can also receive email notifications, and you can set the time in minutes, hours, days, or weeks of how you want to have those notifications sent. You can also change your notifications for new events, if an event is changed, if an event is canceled, and again, how you would receive those. For instance, I have them to set to receive an email. These are the default settings, and those are going to be all of the settings you will need to change for your calendar. Also, one thing I would like to note, if you are part of a Google Classroom, or if you created a Google Classroom, you're going to see a calendar appear here that is the classroom. So for instance, if I go back into my settings for the calendar, I have this demo class that I've created, and I can turn that back on. And if we go back to calendars, you can see that demo class is now listed. So if there was an assignment due or a meeting scheduled through the class, I would see that in, let's say, yellow on my calendar. I don't have any assignments or meetings to show you, but again, this is going to create a whole separate calendar for your class that you would see. And the same goes for the students that are part of your class. That's going to be part of their calendar as well. So that's about it for Google Calendar. I will provide support documentation for Google Calendar in addition to these training videos, and I hope it was of some assistance. Thank you very much. Hello everyone, I just wanted to go over Google Meet in this video and how to schedule Google Meet sessions and how to utilize the platform. So first things first, the easiest way to schedule Google Meet is actually in your calendar, Google Calendar. So again, you just go to your Google Applications button in the top right, select Calendar from the list that appears, and then you're going to browse to the date for which you'd like to schedule the meet. So let's say next Wednesday the 12th, I wanted to schedule a meet. Then I would select what time, similar to creating an event in the calendar that we went over in the calendar training video. We would simply click on the time that we wanted to have the meet occur, add a title for the meeting. We'll check our time and our date. The most important part of setting up the event is to click this Add Google Meet Video Conferencing button here. So we're going to go ahead and click that. Once we click that, we get a unique URL for our meeting. We can see how many participants we can have. It also provides us a phone number for dial-in if that is an option. We can also go through and add our location and description, similar to when we created calendar events. And perhaps most importantly, we can go ahead and add guests to the meeting. You can go ahead and click on guests that you'd like to add to the meeting, And once you have all your guests added and the time is correct, you can just go ahead and click Save. You just want to make sure before you leave that this says Join with Google Meet and you see this Meet URL. That means that the Meet settings have been added and it is in fact a Google Meet event. Go ahead and click Save. We can send those invitations to the guests that we've added. And you can see now we have an event listed. So when the 12th comes around and we're ready to join our Google Meet, we'll simply click on the event and click Join with Google Meet. These two options here allow you to turn off your microphone or turn it on, as well as turn off your camera or turn it on. You'll see here on the right-hand side under the title of the meeting, if anyone is currently in the call, you would see their names displayed here. And you can also use the phone for audio in the event that your computer does not have a microphone. So once you're ready to join, you just go ahead and click Join Now. And as you can see, now we're in the Google Meet. So again, these options down here allow you to turn your microphone on and off, allow you to turn your camera on and off, your webcam. This option here on the bottom right, turn on captions. Captions are going to be displayed if we select that. Captions will be displayed for not only your audio, but the audio of all the other members in the call. The next thing I'd like to go over is this Present Now button. So if we click this, it's going to allow you to present your screen to everyone in the meeting, which could come in handy if you're teaching a lesson or filling out a form or trying to go over something with students. This is a great option to show what's actually happening on your screen and walk the students or other faculty members through what needs to be done or what you're looking at. So in order to do that, you're just going to click Present Now. You're going to select your entire screen. And then you can choose the screen which you'd like to share, and you'll just have to click in on one of the inlays of your screen and then hit share. So for instance, now I'm presenting my screen in the meeting, and once I'm done presenting, I can just hit stop presenting. So that's how you would present your screen to everyone in the call. Next, we have more options here in the bottom right-hand corner. If we select that, we have some options here, as you can see. Again, captions are one of these options. Full screen is just that. It turns the Meet page into a full screen view. This change layout option is very valuable as well if you have a lot of attendees in the call or guests in the call. If you click this change layout button and you select different views. So for example, the tiled view shows everyone in the call is the same size. The spotlight view will show the individual who is speaking at that moment. And the sidebar view will show the individual who is speaking at the moment in addition to other members of the call. The last thing I want to go over is how to record. Just select more options in the bottom right, record meeting, and accept. Once it begins recording, you'll see this red recording icon in the top left. Once you're finished recording, just hit stop recording, and that video is going to be sent to your Google Drive. And that's about it for Google Meet. Once you're done, you can just hang up the call. Hello, everyone. Today, we're just going to go over how to use Google Forms to create quizzes in Classroom and ultimately how to automatically grade those quizzes and import the scores into Google Classroom. So first things first, let's go ahead and just sign in on google.com. And we're going to come up to the top right-hand corner to our Google Apps button and select Classroom from the drop-down menu. You're going to then select one of our classes that we're working in. Go ahead to Classwork, and we're going to create a new assignment, quiz assignment. Here you can go ahead and enter the title for your quiz, instructions, change your points, whether it's graded or not graded, and all the other settings that we've gone over in the Google Classroom training. In order to make this quiz, we're going to click on this Google form that appears here. So this is going to actually be our quiz that's associated with the assignment in Google Classroom. So you can rename the quiz here about any information you need to have. Next thing we're going to do before we even start creating the quiz is we're going to go up here to our settings icon in the top right. Select this quizzes tab. From here you can see that it's already selected to make this form a quiz because we created it in Classroom. And those settings you can all leave the same. In general, we're going to select collect email addresses, and that's going to collect an email address that's associated with the individual who takes the quiz. And you can see that the form is now automatically collecting email addresses from our organization. And then you would just go ahead and create your quiz questions as you see fit. Okay, so I just went ahead here and created a test question here. And again, as we went over in the Google Forms training video, we can just continue to add more questions using this bar on the right-hand side here. What I'd like to go over in order to make this automatically graded, when you create your questions, you can actually select this answer key option in the bottom left. And here you can assign a point value to each question. And you can also select the correct answer. Once the correct answer is selected, you're just going to go ahead and click Done. And now we have that answer added to our answer key. And you do that for the remaining questions. So again, as you can see here, I just created another question here. And we're going to select answer key in the bottom left, assign a point value to this question. Then we can select the correct answer for our answer key. We'll go ahead and click Done. That's all handled through this answer key button in the bottom left-hand corner. So once your quiz is complete and it's all set up, you'll just be able to exit out of this Google Forms page. And as you can see now, our quiz is all set up in the classroom assignment when we click on it again. And the last thing we want to do before we send the quiz out or assign it is select this grade importing button here on the bottom of the classroom assignment page. That's going to limit each user to only respond to the quiz once. It's going to automatically collect the email address, and it restricts responses to the users in our organization. So only students in your course would be completing the quiz. So we'll go ahead and check off that grade importing button. Once that's done, you have your settings on the right-hand side complete, such as due date and point value. You'll just go ahead and click Assign. And now the assignment is active. All right, so in the last portion of this video, we went ahead and created a quiz through Google Classroom using Google Forms. And now I'm signed in with a student account, and I'm going to go ahead and take that quiz in the same class. So you can see here I'm signed in with this test student account. And if I go to classwork, this is all the student view, and I select test, and I view the assignment. You can see that once I click on this Google form, I'll be brought to a new page. And this is where I can actually take the quiz. So for the purpose of demonstration, I'm going to answer one of these questions correctly. I'm going to answer one of them incorrectly. I'm going to go ahead and submit the quiz. You can see once I submit the quiz, the student will be able to immediately see their score and get feedback, their total points. And they can go ahead and close out of that and close out of the test page. And if they go back to the main classroom page and go under classwork, you can see that this test has already been turned in. So that's all the student will have to do on their end, is simply take the quiz through Google Form. And the next portion of the video, I'm going to roll back over to the teacher view, and I'm going to show you how we can import those scores and view the scores from this Google Form. All right, so in the last portion of this video, we took the quiz as a student, So now we're going to go back to the teacher view in this demo class and go ahead and look at the classwork page here and test. And we can see if we click on turned in that that test student has turned in the quiz. Now, in order to import their score, which you can see here on the left-hand side, we're just going to go up here and click this import grades button. And you can see that any grades that are currently associated with this assignment are going to be overwritten. We'll just go ahead and click import. And you can see now that we have a score associated with this student's attempt on that quiz. So out of the 10 available points, the student scored 5 out of 10. They got one question right. And if we go to our People tab and click on this test student and click on the assignment that we were completing, test, and view details, we can see again, they scored 5 out of 10 points. So that's how you create the quiz from the teacher side. So again, we would just create the quiz and classwork with this quiz assignment option. We'll fill out the Google form. The student would then take the quiz. And afterwards, the score gets automatically imported into the gradebook. And you can see here the test student has a 5 out of 10 score on that test. The most important aspect of this, in order to get these scores to appear in the gradebook, is when we come to this test quiz, the assignment that you created, and view the assignment is to import grades once the students have turned in their assignment. And that's it for creating a quiz in Google Classroom and allowing for automatic grading and automatic importing of grades into Google Classroom for those quiz assignments. Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. I just wanted to give you one last training on the use of Google Groups, specifically group email addresses, which are going to allow you to send mass invitations for things like Google Meets, invitations to your classroom, invitations to a shared drive. It allows you to send those to a group of students. And what I've gone ahead and done is created Google Groups for all the AM and PM shared time programs. That way that you can much more easily contact your students in either one of those sections. So the first thing I'd like to show you, just to so you can see how you can access groups, is to come to this top right-hand corner to the Google Apps icon, and we're going to scroll down and select groups from that list of available applications. And you can see here in this page, I have a few groups here listed. In yours, you should have 2, potentially 3 groups, and it should include an AM and a PM class associated with your course. So in order to see who's in the group, we're going to go ahead and click on the group, and I'll just use this one for an example. And we can see here on the left-hand side, there's a members option under people. And it's going to give us a list of all the members in that class and their associated email address. So if you need one individual's email address from someone in your AM class, for instance, you can go ahead and go here and look it up if you'd like to. But this just shows you all the members of that group. So we don't really have to come into Google Groups to use groups or the group email address, and I'll just go ahead and show you that now. And let's take, for instance, we want to create a Google Meet event. So we'll just click on our calendar and start creating the event. And when it comes time to add guests is when the Google Groups come into play. So for example, if I wanted to invite the AED AM class to this event, I can just start typing in AED, and as you can see, that group appears. You can see here there's 24 members, and if we select this drop down right next to it, we can see the list of members that are part of that group. So now when I save and send invitations for this event, that invitation is going to go out to everyone that's a part of that group. So this makes it a lot easier to send invitations out. And this can be used for a number of, for any shared time program. And you're going to have an AM and a PM section. And again, all you just start doing is just start typing in the name of the program, and that program should appear with an AM and PM section. Again, once we click save and send, it's going to send an invitation to everyone that's a part of the group that you've added. And this can be used not only in Google Calendar, but it can also be used in Google Classroom when you're inviting students to your class. It can also be used in Gmail when you're sending a mass email. It comes in handy to send those large group invitations and emails. So I hope that's of some assistance. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Today I just wanted to go over how to add an absence in absence management through Frontline. So first things first, we want to go to app.frontlineeducation.com. And here you'll sign in with your Frontline user ID and password. And from the list of applications available, you're going to select Absence Management. And once this loads, you're going to see any important notifications from the district. And these 3-month outlook provides any days that you have scheduled to be absent. It also shows closed days and also shows in-service days. So to create an absence, we're just going to scroll down here to the bottom portion of the page and make sure we're under the Create Absence tab here. And we're going to find the date for which we need to create the absence. Select that date. Select the absence reason. And whether it's a full day, half day AM, or half day PM absence. We can write notes to the administrator regarding the absence. We can even attach files to the absence. Once all those settings are complete, you'll simply hit Create Absence, and the absence will be added to your calendar. Now, you can also view upcoming absences by clicking on Scheduled Absences. It will list them here. It will also show you your past absences for the last 30 days. You can view more by selecting this link. And the other important piece of information in absence management is to see how many days you have for certain absence reasons. So to see that, we're going to go to the left side here and select Account. We're going to go to Absence Reason Balances here. And then as you can see here, you have all the absence reason balances. So how many days you have for each absence reason. And these are updated as soon as you put a day in, it will be listed under pending. As soon as it's approved, it will be listed under used, and your balance will be updated accordingly. And that's about it in absence management. Thank you.